Hi, welcome or welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is my second YouTube video. This is also officially my second spread in this new journal, and I'm actually really excited for this spread because one thing I love about a good journal is when it's like really personalized. Because I don't think a journal can really feel personal and like your own unless you like include unique little bits that reflect your personality. At least that's just the sort of journal that I like. So today I'm making the first page of a spread dedicated to my favorite childhood movies and TV shows, or alternatively, the pieces of visual media that shaped me into the insufferable human that I am today, and that also satisfy a very specific nostalgic itch to my brain. This is not the same as my favorite shows and movies of all time. Some of them definitely overlap with this category, but these are simply just movies and TV shows that I watched that impacted me as a kid, and I watched possibly a little obsessively as a child. So yeah, I included shows that from like that I watched as a child and also as like an early teenager, because just any shows that I basically watched in the time period that my brain was like very mushy and impressionable and that left a lasting impact. Also, I'm sorry again for the weird vertical composition. I filmed this again with the intention of making a YouTube short, but I had a lot of extra footage, so bear with me. It will get better towards the end of the video. We're starting off strong with the BBC show Sherlock. I rewatched this like a year ago, and it was actually concerning how I could literally tell what scene and what dialogue was coming next with precision and accuracy. This show has just been imprinted into my brain because of how many times I'd watched and rewatched it. I remember as a kid either having a crush on Benedict Cumberbatch or wanting to be him. And by having a crush on him, I do not mean him, but like his character, Sherlock. Which I think says a lot about my childhood self, which I wish it didn't. I also just had this weird complex as a child where in any social gatherings, and by social gatherings I mean places my parents would drag me to go to with them, instead of talking to anyone or attempting to socialize, to pass the time, I would just sit in a corner and then like glare at people and try and like deduce their life stories and backgrounds and occupations from like little hints from their attire, their belongings, and like their appearance, like Sherlock did in the show. But not anything like he did in the show, because I had no idea what I was doing. I was a weird child then, and I'm now a weird teenager. Not much has changed, evidently. But yeah, for the better or worse, I really love this show and had a weird emotional attachment to Sherlock the character. That's just on being a weirdo and having no friends and being in desperate need of actual social interaction for normal human development. Like I said, not much has changed. Also, the fact that the face/bone structure of this person that I drew looks nothing like Sherlock. I tried my best, but it didn't work out, and this is something I'm actually trying to work on, is actually making my drawings, like my paintings, look like the reference, but that is not happening today, apparently. But yeah, he kind of looks like a Victorian child, but I can only strive to capture a snippet of the essence of his glorious bone structure. Next up, we have Game of Thrones. Now, despite the last season of this being quite an abomination to cinema as a whole, I still think this is obviously like an amazing show, and I would still recommend this to everyone. Everything from the set design to the outfits to the hair to the acting to the dialogue is top tier, which is obviously something that is probably pretty widely agreed upon. None of my opinions are original, by the way, I am aware. But yeah, I remember watching this show when I was like 12 or 13, nudity and beheading and all. Well, I don't know if that was a particularly good decision. I'm not sure that had any long-lasting impacts on my brain chemistry. But again, we're just uncovering why I might have turned into the person I am today in this video. A lot of self-reflection is required. But then again, I feel like nowadays children pretty young are exposed to some pretty vulgar and explicit media. Like, I feel like everyone in the 12-year-olds were watching Euphoria. And generally children now are like given the Netflix password, and it's kind of difficult to police what they're watching. So yeah, I don't know if watching Game of Thrones at 13 is even considered out of pocket anymore. It is actually kind of concerning to think about how like the tolerance for like really violent and explicit media has sort of increased for people in general, as well as for like literal children. Like, some social scientists could probably analyze what being desensitized to such content at younger ages does to a person. But yeah, it kind of shakes me up a bit when I see like my 9-year-old cousins jamming to 34 plus 35 and like being very, very cognizant of what the lyrics mean. My best wishes go to the newer generation and their sanity, but that is not a particularly relevant tangent. So moving on. Also, remember every day in middle school I used to see this girl from an older class in my school wear Game of Thrones merch several different times, and every time I would hype myself up to go up and tell her that I really, really liked her shirt to establish some sort of friendship based on shared acquired taste. I also just thought she would be really impressed by the fact that I had watched it relatively younger and had like good taste even for a child, and that would make her view me as some sort of like precocious enigma, and she'd immediately want to become best friends with me. I don't know what was going on in my prepubescent brain, but none of it was good. None of it. But yeah, that did not in fact happen. I literally passed the entire year hyping myself up, but then being way too nervous to actually go and talk to her because she looked way cooler than me and all of her friends, and she was always around her friends who also looked way cooler than me. But alas, that memory of me trying and failing to speak to her is now attached to the show for me forever. This is where you can definitely see me struggle with the acrylic paints. The first painting was actually quite smooth sailing, surprisingly, but this one I really did struggle. First of all, it does look nothing like the reference, but I think we've already established that and accepted that at this point. Also, I just really struggled with the trusting the process period with this painting, and I sort of caved and brought out my sketch pens to try and fix up the mess that I'd made and to try and make it look human-like, to say the least. And so there's like a significant portion of the drawing where I just skip forward like 15 different steps, but that's just because for some reason drawing in front of the camera stressed me out, so I needed to go behind the camera to actually fix up the mess and then come back to draw in front of the camera again. So this was a bit of a mishap, but we live and we learn, and I actually did really like how this turned out in the end, and I was really happy that I could practice acrylic paints even though they did stress me out quite a lot. that is all I have for you today. These are the end products, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely let me know in the comment section what your favorite childhood TV shows and films were. I just always think that's so interesting, and to see what is nostalgic to who, and I feel media shapes such an important part of our personality. So I think that's really interesting to just see what other people watched as a kid. So definitely let me know in the comment section, and subscribe for more art and journaling content if that's what you're interested in, and I'll see you in the next video, and thanks for watching. I hope you have an amazing week.